Does it feel like you play with your toddler for hours and it still doesn't fill their cup? It's like they're never satisfied. I mean, gosh, even if you could play all day, even the most attentive moms feel burned out from the constant need for connection. If you want to create a real connection with your toddler without having to play, you are absolutely going to love today's episode. Welcome to the Slowish Parenting Podcast. I'm your host, Alexis. I'm a mama to 2 little girls and a parenting coach. I help moms who are burned out, tired, and stressed feel happy and confident so they can enjoy a little more ease in their daily life. If you want to unlearn parenting and awaken your innate design, then you're in the right place. Alrighty, let's get into today's episode. Hello, you guys, and welcome back to another episode. Today, on this very dreary day, I don't think you can see the window at all in the picture right now, but it is raining and it's pelting out the window. So if you can hear that, just know we're going to use it as part of the ambiance of the day. I don't always get to record on days that are ideal or optimal. It was actually a question that I got asked recently is like, how do you record? How do you find that time? Are your kids around? And the answer is I have no consistent time of when I record. I typically record on a Saturday when my mother-in-law can take the kids for a couple hours, and that's not consistent. I usually won't know till like the day before. So yeah, that has been hard, just kind of having an inconsistent schedule. And then my husband, every few Mondays, he is available to watch my kids. So he will take the kids on a Monday sometimes. So yeah, all of that to say, let's talk about toddler connection. So I find that so many of the moms in my coaching practice who are toddler moms really struggle with connection. And my personal story, my girls were NICU babies. So we really struggled with connection. It did not come easily in those newborn baby year, I wasn't say years, but year, that time frame. It was not this instantaneous, beautiful connection that I really expected. It was a lot of work. And to be honest, I didn't know a lot about what I was doing and what was going on. So I found myself distancing myself at times because I felt like there was something wrong with me, something wrong with my kids, with our connection, our relationship. And as they got to the toddler age where they are enjoying play, I really struggled. It felt painful. It felt really hard to play. And so last year, I recorded a workshop talking about rekindling connection and how I did that with my kids. If you're interested in the rekindling connection workshop, I will go ahead and leave a link below. But through this time of learning how to reconnect, it was not in play that we reconnected. It was just in daily life. And that's what I learned from the book Hunt, Gather, Parent. That book transformed me as a mom, not only my expectations for motherhood, but it gave me a good picture of how other cultures do it without playing with their kids all the time. I think that this is a very American thing. And if you are from another country, like share with me, is this typical that you're expected to sit on the floor and play with your child most of the time? I just don't think it's realistic. And I don't think it was the way that we were intended or our child was intended to interact with us. I think that there is some beauty in playing sometimes. But I think that, at least in my coaching practice, a lot of the moms feel frustrated with the lack of independence. And when we know through attachment is when there's a secure, healthy attachment, there should then come independence. And so for me, there was such a mismatch there because not only was I detached from my kids, like physically from a NICU experience, but then we were also detached throughout their infancy, especially my first daughter. We were so detached that it was really hard to connect, and then to even know how to connect. Like, it felt foreign. And I think that that's what's lost when we're told how to parent and how to do things, because we no longer trust this motherly intuition that we were given. I mean, we were given this wisdom, this gift that just comes naturally. And when that's overrode with either doctors or influencers or experts in the field of whatever, we don't get the opportunity to exercise that. And right now, I know that moms, I was just having a conversation with one of my clients about how moms feel this pressure to be a certain way with their kid, to spend a certain amount of time, to do all the activities, to have all the Pinteresty things set up. And it's like, it's just not realistic. We're burning out. We're tired. And so imagine if learning how to connect with your child, not through play, which if you're listening to this, I'm assuming you also struggle with learning how to play with your kiddo. And I will tell you that that comes with time, right? You can learn how to play with your kid and actually really enjoy it. But today, I don't think that that's where that starts. I think connection starts in, again, these little moments, which is what I share so much about here on my channel. So the very first thing that moms can be doing to reconnect with their toddler is having 10 seconds of eye contact. This could be, really anytime, but think of moments like at a meal. Maybe you're making them juice and they're standing right next to you at the refrigerator. Maybe you guys are, walking through the living room and you catch their eyes and you just 10 seconds of that eye contact. Maybe it's setting them up on the counter and just looking into their eyes. Having these little tiny moments all throughout your day. Another one I think of that I love is like putting them into their car seat. This gets to be just a little moment. If you have multiple kiddos, this is just a moment for you and that child. So just have this little connecting moment and really think about looking into their eyes and giving this energy of, I love you so much. You don't even need to say anything. You can if you want to, but it's just having these little tiny moments of connection all throughout your day. I don't feel like I have much else to explain on this point, but research has shown that 10 seconds of eye contact starts to lower the nervous system and regulate it. How cool is that? How cool is it that our brains just need, literally 10 seconds. So if you think to yourself, for just 10 seconds, I'm going to pour into my child's cup. If I do that multiple times throughout my day, their cup is going to be fairly full. And I bet you'll start to notice they are doing more things independently because they feel the consistency of, I'm getting mom's attention. I'm being seen, like this need to be seen and to be heard, which we'll talk about later, are needs that even the youngest of kiddos really, really need. Okay, number 2, inviting your child into chores, daily tasks, cooking, whatever the things that you are doing. Now, I've had moms on here before tell me, I can't let my toddler come in and help me, clean the bathroom. Yes, you can. And my example is give them a water bottle that's a spray bottle with a little rag, put them in the bathtub with no water, and let them think they're cleaning the bathtub while you're doing the toilet. Like, how can you do the tasks you still need to do that isn't going to be harmful to your child? And let me, add a caveat here to that. Like, if you're in the bathroom, like moms a lot of times will get caught up, well, I can't have my child around harsh, cleaning supplies. I get that. I'm a non-toxic mama. I totally agree. Well, let's find less toxic things that you can use. Maybe they don't do as good of a job, which I still think they do. Like for me, when I'm doing my toilets, I'm doing vinegar and baking soda, and it works great in my opinion. My kids could help with that entire process if they wanted to. They don't typically because they don't want to, but a toddler can help with that. Just invite them in. And so maybe for a short season, you find other cleaning supplies, other ways that you can allow them to be helpful in the things that you need to do without it being this big, no, you can't do anything, you can't be helpful. Because what it really does is discourages them from actually wanting to help. what was so interesting to me in the book Hunt, Gather, Parent is she was talking about this culture. I believe it was the Mayan culture, or maybe that's what she called them, to kind of keep them private. But anyway, whatever the culture was, the kids like were doing chores because they wanted to. They weren't even being prompted. They cared about the family and the family dynamic. How cool is that? How cool is it for your kid to care about your well-being and to teach that? They believe that teaching this is just as important as school. And so the toddler years, like we are so focused here in America on like learning, like it's as early as we can get our kids into preschool, we're like throwing them into preschool. And for me, it's been really an interesting experience as I've kind of held off from doing that. We started homeschooling, but I've been so focusing on this aspect, like emotional intelligence, talking about emotionally what's going on so they can be very literate and be able to communicate that to those around them and know how to handle these kinds of situations. So yeah, inviting your kiddo in, figuring out how to do that in a way that's safe. Because I'm obviously not saying like, I feel like I always need to like preface myself, but like these things need to be safe. And also, this may mean just some adjusting on your part. It's very simple and it might just take, a little bit of time to look up some different ways, to clean things. But typically, there is a very easy solution that can make it easy for everybody to get involved. And yeah, so, okay, number 3, get low and say what you appreciate about the child. So, I actually started doing with my oldest, who is 4. She'll be 5 though. And I started with her, and then now it's naturally just crept into my toddler. And I think my toddler loves it more than my 5-year-old or 4, almost 5-year-old. So I have been, when I see something that I really appreciate about my child, I am telling them. I'm usually popping them up on the counter and just looking them in the eyes again for that 10 seconds and just being like, I so appreciate that you just picked all that up for me without me even asking. I so appreciate you sharing your snack with your sister because she ate all hers and she's still hungry and you saw that. I'm going to give you more snack, like really noticing these little pieces of our children. And I think the book is called The Parenting Switch. I think that's what it's called. I can't remember. I'll link it below. Not so much a book that I would like suggest reading. It was a little bit, I feel like, difficult to read, especially if you're not in a, if you're not like a coach or I don't know, if you're not into that kind of stuff. But what I did love from it is that we need to be seeing the positive things in our child's life. If we are constantly picking at all the icky negative things, that's all they focus on. That's all they see. So we need to bring them up by actually noticing and seeing the things that they are doing really well. And so this is something that starts, it can start in infancy, but gosh, starting when they are just toddlers, it is so cool to see, like if you see them being really sweet with the cat, oh, you're so gentle. Maybe they're not always gentle, but in that moment, you're affirming who they are. They're very gentle. So this has been one that I've been enjoying. Getting low on a child's level really encourages them that you're on the same team. It shows them that you care and that you see them. It's really bringing your world down to theirs. And it's just a beautiful act of for me, it's like surrender of my authority or my power. And it kind of allows me to just see things for what they are. I often use this even when we're dealing with tantrums and things like that, because, kids, they need to see us and we need to see them, and we need to allow for that exchange to happen. So, like I said, get low, say something that you really appreciate about your toddler. Even if you're like, okay, my toddler's 1, they don't even know like what that means. They still understand the energy. They understand what you're putting forward. So no matter what, talk to them like a human, talk to them like a friend, talk to them like an adult. Like it's okay to do that. Trust me, they get the energy that's given off. And so don't be afraid to affirm these things when you feel like maybe they're too young, because they're never too young for that. Okay, number 4, just smile. It's like so simple, but like as your toddler's playing, I think so often we think like we need to be like, oh, you're playing so nicely. Or we're like, oh, don't look at them, don't anything, like I'm going to disrupt. But what if they're just playing and you just smile at them? What if you're sitting across the table eating breakfast and you just smile? What if you're in the grocery store pushing the cart and you look down and you just smile? Like, this is another connecting moment, and you're going to find yourself doing the eye contact thing again. Not only are you going to smile at them, but then it's going to trigger, oh my gosh, yeah, let me look 10 seconds, fill their cup. So this is so little and so small, but I have seen my kids really enjoy it and flourish, and just, yeah, they feel all the good, happy vibes that they should feel, they absolutely should. Okay, number 5, uninterrupted meals. Really intentional mealtime is, I think, critical to helping kiddos to feel connection. I, for the longest time, found myself sitting down, eating breakfast, and getting on my phone to get up my to-do list for the day. I felt like the breakfast table was the time to get all that together. And when I stopped doing that, one, I stopped bringing my phone to the table, but 2, I stopped doing a to-do list at the table. What I found is that I started having time with my kids. I started talking to them about what they were excited about in their day. It's something I usually ask in the morning, like, what are you excited about today? And then they'll tell me, oh, I'm really excited because I wanted to play ponies with you today. And so I'm like, oh, awesome. I'm going to put that into my plan or my schedule. And then what I'll do is I'll share with them what the plan is for the day. This means that you don't have to have a schedule, which for me was so life-giving and freeing. Like, all I have to do is share what our plan is. I don't have to have the same plan every day, but them just kind of knowing at the beginning of their day, here's what to expect, here's where we're going, here's why we're staying here. They have some things to look forward to, and then you can incorporate the things that they really enjoy. And maybe they are talking and they're like, yeah, I want to play ponies. It's like, awesome, let's play ponies together today. After we eat breakfast, Mama's going to clean up breakfast. And when I'm done, then I'll come join you and, we'll play ponies. You can get them out and lay them all out, and, I'll be there in a few minutes. So yeah, uninterrupted meals gives the opportunity for conversation, for just that eye contact, for smiling, for just being there and having this moment together. I found my kids playing a lot more when I started coming to the table completely uninterrupted. So try this and see if it changes the way your kids feel and the way they look at you, and honestly, if it changes their independence level. Okay, number 6 is going to be to practice active listening. So our toddlers have a huge need to be heard. I mean, they need to be seen, but they also need to be heard. And I think that we forget that these are needs. I mean, truthfully, I have moments, a lot of moments, I like to talk a lot, that I need to be heard. I'm a very verbal processor. So when I'm going through something, say with my husband, I feel like I need to be heard. And the way that I know that I'm heard is when he is practicing active listening. And this has been a challenge for us because my husband isn't great at active listening. It's something that he's really working through and working on, because often he doesn't want to interrupt me. But like, I want him to be going, okay. Yeah, so you're saying, like, I want that back and forth. So what does active listening look like with your toddler? Because typically they're telling you either crazy one-off stories, or they're just one and they're not really saying a whole lot. Like, I feel like the toddler phase has like a lot of range. But this is where active listening could look like, let's start with like a 1-year-old who isn't talking a whole lot. This could be reflecting what you're seeing. This could be you kind of sportscasting, like, oh, you're, wanting to go for a walk. All right, let's get in the stroller and let's buckle your stroller. Can you buckle the right side and then the left side? And then like going through just kind of the things with them. This doesn't have to be done all the time, but in just, again, little tiny moments, can you kind of reflect what's going on or what you're seeing? Maybe they get really excited and you're like, oh, you're feeling so excited. I'm excited too. That smile tells me that you're excited, and so going through that process with them. But then let's say they are starting to become verbal, kind of repeating back to them what you're hearing, maybe asking more questions to help engage with them. And so active listening is something you might need to practice. It might be something that is not easy for you, but that's okay. This is where you're learning and your child's learning. And you can also, let's say that you notice you're not doing a good job active listening. You could say, hey, I want to try this again. I realized I'm not active listening well. Let's try this again. And it gives you the opportunity to, one, be imperfect, but to show your child what to do when they also don't do something the way they wanted to. Remember, every opportunity is a teaching lesson, always. It doesn't matter what it is. Teaching your child is often just through modeling. Whew, that sun. Okay, you're going to have to bear with it, guys. Alrighty, number 7, going on a toddler walk. I love toddler walks. That's hard to say. Toddler walks. Well, anyway, this is where the toddler is leading. So if you live in a place where you can't let your toddler lead, like maybe you don't have sidewalks or maybe you live on a busy street, find a place, whether it's a park or maybe you can go to your mom's house or your mother-in-law's house and they have good walking area. But giving your child the freedom to lead a walk, to stop when they want to stop and whatnot is beautiful. Now for you type A mamas who are like, oh my gosh, I could never spend a whole half hour doing what my toddler wants to do. You don't have to start that way. You could start by just setting a timer, for the next 5 minutes, we're going to go on a toddler walk. And, I do it by my child's name, I'm going to go on a Sally walk and, we're going to look at everything Sally wants to look at. And so we're just going to kind of walk and go slow and go at their pace. And not only is this going to give you life because you're like, oh my gosh, I never would have noticed that, or what beauty. But at first it can be really painful, it can be really hard. And so there's this weird mix of wow, there's some beauty here. And also this is really stinking hard. So know that this one is probably not easy, especially if you're type A, but it can be such a beautiful experience. And it really gives them that independence, helps them to foster that and to become this little human that just knows what they want. And it gives them that ability to practice autonomy. Which I think is really cool. So it's a good way to implement that. Okay, number 8 is just hold hands as you walk places. It could even just be in the next room. I find myself getting in a rush and getting in a hurry. Maybe I'm cleaning the house and I'm trying to get, from the living room to the laundry room, and I'm just kind of quickly going. But instead, I will just stop. And I'll just reach my hand out if my toddler's next to me and they just walk with me to the, living room or to the laundry room. And maybe they don't even help me, right? But it's just this act of doing something together, having that little connection. And so can you find a little way to have maybe even some physical touch? I guess this could be another one if we wanted to add another one, just little ways of physical touch that show them I'm here, I'm with you, I care about you, I see you, I hear you, without even saying anything at all. And so all these little things really do add up. And that's what I want to remind you of. Playing with your child for 10 minutes, I used to think okay, I got to play with my child for 45 minutes a day, each one for 30 minutes. So it'd be an hour a day. That's a lot of time, 1. 2, they don't feel fulfilled. It feels like they just need more. So how can I do this all throughout the day, almost like a little drip all throughout the day? And it's by implementing these things. I want to encourage you to play with your toddler. Learn what they like to play and learn what you like to play. I love to play Play-Doh. I could sit down and play Play-Doh all day, if I didn't have anything else to do. So it's can I engage with things that I enjoy and also be really honest when it's things that are challenging for me, that maybe I don't enjoy playing. And so for me, that was Magnetiles, but I've come a long way. You should see my Magnetile sets. They're pretty cool. I do a good job. I like created a whole zoo the other day. We've done like racetracks, like, and I really struggled in the beginning. Like I had to set timers because they were really frustrated me. But you can come to a place where you and your child actually enjoy this time together. But I believe that it starts with connecting with your toddler in other ways that have nothing to do with play. So if there was something that I did not mention in today's video that you would love to share, like, oh, this is how I connect with my toddler, and it would just be helpful for other moms to see, please comment that below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure that you give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. So, alrighty guys, I will see you in the next episode.